Welcome to Exploring Curiosities with the Unbridled Woman. I have a beautiful guest here with me today, and her name is Jules Lamm. And I'm just going to read out a little biography for you. So, Jules is the founder of an emotional wellness hub that beautifully blends the science of the nervous system with the spirituality of Energy Chakras. She's here to guide you back to the truth of who you are, helping you reconnect with your heart and soul, and fall deeply in love with yourself. Jules is all about igniting your passion, purpose, and play, empowering you to embrace every facet of your being. Get ready to be inspired by her wisdom and experience as she shares how to cultivate a life overflowing with self-love, joy, and soulful connections. Welcome.
Thank you. Yes, I'm glad to be here.
And hopefully the mowing outside isn't coming through. They just decided to do mowing on the street. So as always, I always ask my guests what the word unbridled means to them. So I'm really curious, when you hear the word unbridled, what does that bring up for you?
I feel like it brings up freedom,
Mm-hmm.
freedom and connection to wholeness, connection to something more than just the physical me here right now. Maybe like connection to possibilities.
Yes.
Biggerness, freedom to create. And I feel like when I learned how to connect to myself and really feel connected in my body, that's when I can explore those realms like what's beyond me. How can I really utilize, this freedom of expression and creativity and possibilities that I believe that the spirit of all of us is.
Yeah.
It's just sometimes we get stuck in our limitations, which is a part of our human experience. And I know that you're very much into the womb energy and feminine energy. And I feel like that's what we are waking up to because it's been forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that's the part of the freedom to express and freedom to move and freedom to touch and freedom to be present and freedom just to be, which is a great energy that we are returning to through our feminine evolution. Yeah. So, but what does it mean to you besides what I read, on the website?
Yes.
But maybe today it's different.
Well, yes, unbridled to me, it means it's the freedom of your full expression and also sovereignty, because when this word kind of came into my mind a few years ago, I have only had a brief stint with horses. However, I noticed, when I would go out into the pasture to get my horse, if my energy wasn't right, the horse would be repelled. It wouldn't come. Mm-hmm. And I also saw that when I was more clearer, more grounded in my body, the horse would approach me. And so I see, and then you'll be able to put the bridle on, right? But the horse was making a conscious decision to be bridled or then to be unbridled. Like it had a choice whether it wanted to come or stay free and do what it wanted, or all right, I'm going to be curious. I'm going to come and see what you're all about. And I know I'm going to put a bridle. I know you're going to try to, you're going to make me do certain things. However, I'm choosing to do this. And I think that's really important for women to come to that place so that, this is a choice. We have choices in our life to bring in what we want to bring in. And we have a choice whether we want to connect to our own power and use it for good in our lives, or we have a choice to give our power away and just be told what to do. So for me, the unbridledness brings the word of sovereignty, of agency, that, we are the creatrix of our life here. And we don't always have to be pulled around by other people or other ways of thinking or being. We have a choice to stand in our own sovereignty and be who we were meant to be. So that's,
Yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful. And just to maybe continue that flow, I think the key word that you mentioned there, especially in relationship to the horse, which, yeah, animals are just instinctively do what, they're supposed to do
yeah.
without overanalyzing too much. And the key word was there, grounded. You
Mm,
said that when I feel grounded, when my energy is present, then the horse chooses to ride with me, right?
mm-hmm,
And in my work, so where I combine science of the nervous system and spirituality through the chakras, which chakras are just representation of our own energy. So in yogis came up with a chakra system, however they came up with it, and which also have different colors. But these are the colors that you can also find in the rainbow. And I always like to see like whatever I'm discovering within the human and the soul, like it's there in the nature. And that gives me like confirmation. Oh, okay. Because I believe we have the attributes of the divine and the attributes of the nature within us.
mm-hmm,
So the more we connect to those attributes, more we live authentic self and more we step into our power. But feeling grounded, which is feeling safe to spread your roots, right? This is where everything starts. And this is that root chakra,
mm,
which is like deep down in the sacrum. Okay. And from the energy perspective of the root chakra, this is our physical safety. So, like, yes, the shelter, and I know you're into water. So, this is shelter, water, all the physical stuff, food, money, like we have access to that. So, it's a physical, like, okay, physically, I have all of that. Now I can kind of start planting my roots. And then the other part of that root system is the emotional safety.
mm,
So, and going back to what you said, this is kind of like, two or dichotomy of a human experience. It's like we're these victims, and like you said, telling us what to do. And then at the same time, we have this like, creative power we can step into and choose. But this is what happens.
yeah,
With that lower chakras, so this is like the lower chakras, this is our childhood development,
mm,
because this is where that connection to victimhood starts. Because as a child, right, I'm dependent on my parents. I'm dependent for my safety. I'm dependent for my survival. And as a child, I don't sit there and analyze, how things are in the world or how I'm perceived or whatever. I just feel. And I'm still like navigating myself and figuring things out. I don't know what chakras are. I don't know what the energy, like I'm here
yeah.
to play. I'm here to cry. I'm here to follow my mom, or I'm here to, please my dad, whatever. Right. So, and this is where that whole stuff happens.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And of course, that emotional, the womb, right? The emotional connection is what children, as we as children experience or don't experience, because like, I don't know about you, but I did not have conscious parents. So they have their own stuff, right?
Right.
But this is where it all connects to, or really disconnects you. So like all my life, basically, yes, I was carrying all of those wounds of a child that I did not receive, or how I perceived the world. That's why, like, sometimes you have the same family, but two children and they're completely different,
Mm,
even though the parents are the same. But it's because how they receive the world, how they perceive the world, how they experience it through their emotional nervous system and all of that stuff. That's why the nervous system and for survival, like feeling grounded, feeling safe is a number one priority.
yes, yes.
So that's why, like, where I start all my clients is working with those lower chakras, because again, if the physical safety is there, but the emotional safety, and that's really primary work that I do, is not there, then my identity of the solar plexus, which is going to be like at the lower ribs, right, is going to be off. So like the identity for me back then was more like I'm not good enough.
Mm.
So because from how I've been developed and the way I received love and the way the love given to me and all of that, so I was not good enough. That was my identity. And yes, a lot of that was victimhood. And yes, somebody can tell me like, well, you have the power to create, but I don't know how to access that power. Because I have a lot of stories and a lot of wounds to get through and to heal, so to speak, so that I can embody this new level that starts connecting me to the higher other chakras, which is I really love this system because I feel like it's a good pathway, because the next one is the heart, and the heart is the middle. That's why like we're talking about 7 chakras. So the 3 below, 3 above, and in between is the heart. And again, what do we do as humans? And also like we look at our parents, and what do our parents do? We hide. We're good at hiding because it feels safe. Like I can hide. Nobody can hear me. Nobody can see me. That's what I did. I abandoned myself as a child, right? But again, as a child, I do that. But when we start waking up, we start realizing, oh, we have the power to heal. And that means we need to learn to open the heart.
Absolutely.
That means we want to I don't like what I came to realize, that people say time heals. Time doesn't heal. This is the heart. And if we are just outsourcing our power of healing to time, then guess what? We become very grouchy, very angry, very frustrated human beings, because one day it's going to heal.
Right. Yes.
Right?
Yes. Just waiting around for that day.
Yes, exactly. And then the power goes, and then you show up as this like unsatisfied and unfulfilled and whatever angry person. So, but when you start waking up and hopefully have the right teachers, the right tools, and start opening your heart, because the path of awakening is the path of the open heart, because there is no other way.
Absolutely.
So then when we access the heart and learn to receive and give and forgive and compassion and all of that and kindness, then the heart that we hold, the space, the energy, now we can bring this to this wounded child, to the chakras underneath, shine some light, shine some compassion, forgiveness, love, whatever needs it, whatever the parents didn't give it. Right? And then from the center of the heart, we can shine that beautiful magnetic energy up and connect to the soul and the spirit, which is that third eye, the intuition and the higher power, the connection. Now we are open, and now the energy flows. Now it's like, okay, as I'm standing and rooting myself into the ground, and I'm like, yeah, I can create some stuff. And then with the open heart, you're connecting to the higher source, and like you get the ideas or, feelings or whatever. So yeah, I got off on tangents, but I thought I would bring you my framework into action here. Did anything resonate with you?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. I believe when that our bodies are basically, I kind of think maybe like almost this tuning fork, I guess, for the energies. And that is when we are a clear channel, like you mentioned, that is when we really step into our fullness, our full power, our full essence. I love the vision. I'm very visual. So I loved your, how we rooted down, and then, I just see it just rising straight up and just being so very open. I mean, in my own personal journey, I have had like opening my heart has been the big thing. I remember years ago, and I started yoga, just crying most of the time after class, because all the heart opening poses, and, even I felt like it was like this straight jacket kind of coming off. Right. And, but also it's, I love your work because, as we open our heart, we also, there's that vulnerability that comes. Right. So there's a correlation of, okay, but the safety of feeling safe in your vulnerability. And that comes from being more grounded down in those lower chakras as well. Right.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I do use that expression as well. So like, yes, we are like a tuning fork, because essentially when we remove everything, like there is an actual like meditation in yoga that I like to do, where all of our connections, associations, all of those I am statements are removed. What is left is just consciousness, and what is left is energy. So that's why, yes, the tuning fork and the energy is who we are. That's why when you hear, people say that it's not what you say, it's how you say it, because people feel it, especially the sensitive people or tuning in people. Like I might say all great words, but the energy behind is like, hey,
Yes.
you would feel it, I know. I'm sure you
Right.
all
Yeah.
feel
Sometimes
it.
yeah, exactly. It's like either it flows really nicely in, or it's like hitting a brick wall. It's like, whoa. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish I understood that when I was younger, because, just the sensitivity of when I was younger, it was like, I would take a lot of things personally,
Yes.
just from the tone, the tone of would be like, oh my gosh, I did something wrong, or, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's actually also a good point, because throat is the chakra that comes from the heart. I mean, after the heart, there is throat chakra. And this is one of the most powerful chakras, because that's the only chakra through which we can hurt somebody just through the tone of voice, or we can help heal somebody just through the tone of voice. And that tone of voice, again, is going to be determined or correlated to how much heart that is open. Because when I was carrying all my wounds and constantly was in protection, so my voice was different. Like I remember, every morning I would wake up and I would be doing
Yeah, clearing. Yes.
that was like my morning routine, because I had a lot to say and build up, but I did not know how to express, for the fear of judgment and not good enough and all of that, childhood conditioning. And of course, going back to the tuning fork, who was I attracting? The same people. I wanted to have all the wounded people around me so we could, gather together and like complain about stuff.
Right. Yeah. Just feed off of each
And
other.
that felt
Right.
good
Yes.
back then, because that's what I was safe to feel and attracted. And also when you feel other people kind of experiencing the same stuff, essentially you don't know, like it could be different until, something happens, or you wake up one day or go to a yoga class or whatever, and just like, oh, you can feel different than that. So, and that just helps you to open that opportunity to experience that unbridled. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's cool.
What I don't know if you know this, is because in my studies, I learned a while ago that when we are in our embryonic state, the throat and the pelvic floor, basically, and in females it would be the vagina area, are one, and then as we grow, they separate, of course, but there's a correlation in why they actually look the same shape. It's because they were once connected. So as you were speaking, I was reflecting about, I remember when I wasn't really connected a lot to my feminine power, to my sexuality. I kind of just shut it off, right? And my words or my voice, I was very passive aggressive on things. I wasn't able to really say what I needed in a direct way. I felt like I had to go around and kind of add a little sarcasm, because, if it didn't get addressed or granted, then I could just like, okay, I didn't shove it off like it wasn't that important to me. So what are what do you think about that? The correlation, I guess, between it would be the sacral, right? The sacral and the throat area.
Yeah. First of all, I can relate to that for sure. What you just described, that was, yeah, like totally me. Yes. That sarcasm, that was a protective mechanism. It was a coping that I came up and it kind of worked and it kind of brushes off. And it's like, I'm not right and I'm not wrong because I don't stand by anything, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I actually did study the pelvic floor work. So I did not know about the embryonic state, but what I've learned from that, it's totally connected, and there's a ton of research that's already done. But because our rib cage, our torso, like from the sacrum, from the pelvic floor, the throats, this is a pressurized system. It's a pressurized container. So that's why if we squeeze at the bottom and like tighten up, right? Because yeah, it's connected. Like if I'm in fear, I'm in protection, like my pelvic floor is going to be tensing up because there are also like sensitive nerves there. And like, I don't know about you, but sometimes when I get like this fearful, like I feel contraction in my pelvic floor.
Oh yeah.
And they actually did the research. They brought the woman in like movie theater and they started to show this different, very horrible scenes on the movies, but they plugged in some stuff to the pelvic floor and some other parts of the body to see like which parts of the body react first to all this like horror that, you know.
Yeah.
And the pelvic floor was like the first that was reacting. So it was like tightening
Interesting.
up. Yeah.
Mm.
So but basically, like, yeah, if we squeeze and tighten at the bottom, right, then we open more at the top. If we squeeze and tighten up at the top, there is like pressure goes to other places. And yes, there is also training for the vocal variety, or not vocal variety, but for the vocal, for the singing.
Mm-hmm.
So, and basically the pelvic floor is also connected to the lower abs. So they're directly connected. They're like part of the same muscular structure. So that's why your voice actually is more powerful when you work with the pelvic floor and the lower abs as well. So it's totally connected.
Right.
That's why as you work with one, you help the other.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Especially through singing with the vibration too, going through your body like that.
Yeah. And also with the vagus nerve, which is basically the ventral vagal nerve connection, which is also known as a social engagement connection. And this is the part of the new discovery through the polyvagal theory.
Mm.
And this is like the nerve parts that are 200 million years old. So like if I shut down the dorsal, which is the bottom, which is all those protected root chakra, sacral, and solar plexus, this is, which is like 500 million years old nerve that come from our evolution of as mammals and whatever animals and all of that. So, and then we have the sympathetic, which is in between, in the middle kind of thing. So system, and then we have the ventral vagal, which is a social engagement, which is like 200 million years old, which is very new. So that's why we are still like in the new development of being social creatures. That's why the facial expressions and tone of voice are so hugely important for our connection and for our social engagement and navigating with like living with people. So
Yeah.
because that's why, like, I'm looking at you and I see the smile, so I can instantly feel safe and connected to you. So that's very important for our like new evolution as a social being. So that's why I feel like we have now those fears that are not from the bear and from the wolf, but from fear of rejection and fear of being misunderstood and fear of not being loved, because this is something that we're newly navigating and figuring out, like, how can I be like true to myself and still socially connect to like you? That's why it's very important, especially like, go to networking events or anywhere, or when you talk to your loved one, like, can you like know what face you have?
Yes.
So that if you're trying to be like nice and have a good conversation, but your face is very tense, right? So you already missed your connection and you might be very much misunderstood, right, by your other person. So yeah, that's
Yes. Like, and that was when in 2020, when mostly everybody was wearing masks, right? That would freak me out when I'd go places because, all I can see were eyes, and sometimes people are very blank in their eyes. So it's hard to read people. And it really freaked me out. Like it just,
yeah,
and,
yeah.
and I felt really bad for really young beings here, babies and, ones who are just getting more socialized, and all they can see are these eyes. And if the person wasn't expressing through their eyes, through smiling, or really, I think we have to be a little bit more intentional in our eyes, because people could kind of just blank stare sometimes. But if that's all you can see, it's so important to be, and there's more emphasis on the expression of that facial feature. And this is actually a fun little tidbit I just learned. I was watching a documentary on dogs. So the reason why really bond to dogs, I think, as opposed to other animals, is the wolf learned how to control their muscles on their eyes to show more white of the eye. So when humans connected more to these wolves, these dogs, eventually, because they could see more of the white, and so it reminded more. They felt safe, like actually they were talking to a person, because people we have more of the white of our eyes show more than other animals. Usually their eyes are dark and it takes up more of the space. So I thought that was really interesting, because just how nature just really helps itself to be again, for these wolves to be accepted, to feel safe, and also with humans, they're like, so they would take care of me, right? I'm going to become more of your domesticated pet, so you'll give me food, so I don't have to keep looking for it myself. This little thing changed. So I just thought that was really fascinating.
Oh yes, yeah, and like going back to the masks, yeah, I imagine like that, yeah, the babies when they were born then. So I wonder, like, if anybody does any research with them and how they're going to be affected for that social engagement. Yeah, because that was a huge social experiment for sure. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, just how like I'm nodding and smiling as you're speaking. Like, if a baby wasn't familiar of a mouth existing and expression, they might just communicate very stoically. And then, like you had said, people tend not to feel safe or be able to trust them. I don't know how to read you because I'm not getting any feeling really from that.
Yes. Well, it definitely spiked a lot of, depression cases and
Mm-hmm.
definitely messed up a lot of people.
Yeah.
And whole thing. So we'll see how it's going to show up in the future. But right now, we're just a part of the experiment, I suppose.
Yes. Yeah. So I loved before when you mentioned, well, because when I had said, we have a choice, but I love that you emphasized, because, you could say that, but there's also, you mentioned that if your emotional safety or, state isn't feeling safe, it's, it's all connected there. So it's having the clearer channels definitely enable us to be able to make the best choices for ourselves, and to know that we can make a choice or a change. But what are your thoughts on, what do you think? And I don't, this is just probably no answer. I don't know, because I look back at my, like, when did I really kind of come more awake or conscious about things? But do you have any thoughts about what kind of almost turns the light on, because, I think, we do kind of live a lot of our lives, most people, kind of in a very unconscious way, until there's like one day, one event or something where it's almost like literally that switch gets turned on and then we actually think differently.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So your question is like, is there a way that we can turn a switch on to wake up?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. I mean, is there something that could help people wake up sooner? I guess. I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's a good question, actually. Is there a way for people to wake up sooner? I think that it's probably just maintain that childlike curiosity.
Mm,
So, because I believe we are all curious, but again, just through our conditioning and also what we see around us, we might push away that curiosity or shut it up or stop or whatever. That's why I feel like life creates whatever we need to experience to reconnect to our curiosity and come to realization or awareness or a moment that what if life is working out for me and not against me?
mm,
And perhaps by being open to ask this question, that's what might help you shift your switch.
yeah.
Just again, like going back to my own experience. So my question was, life is punishing me and why is it happening to me? And everybody else is like this and I'm like that. Because again, as a child, I thought that something was wrong with me. So, and that came with shame. And I carried that shame because I thought I was the burden, I was the floor,
Mm,
flawed. And everything that my mom was suffering or people were suffering, like that was my fault. How I
oh,
perceived that
yeah.
as a child. Like I wasn't, like abused or, but just life and how I saw that. That's why that shame kept amplified and I saw everything as a threat. That's why, like that sense of safety, it's something that I am just now learning to embody and feel and show up and spread the roots. Because for me, again, like when you feel shame, when you feel not good enough, what do? You play small, right?
Yes.
Something familiar. And that's why I lived in that nervous system of the dorsal shutdown, but I didn't know.
Mm,
Like outside, I was functional. On outside, I was ambitious, and on outside, I was successful. But all that energy was fueled so that I could feel good enough. And as we know, that's a path to disaster, right? But
yes, yes,
that's
yes.
all I'm about. So that's why, and perhaps it might be quite a harsh switch. I don't know if when I heard that first time, I was really tuned in and paying attention. Because when you live in that victimhood and you feel like everything is a threat and against you, and then somebody comes and say, like, why won't you look at it from this perspective? I don't know if I was really open. I feel like I would probably be very angry at them.
Mm,
And actually, I kind of have a little example, so maybe that's where it might be relatable. I don't know. That's what came to me. So see if that makes a sense or not. So a few years ago, maybe like, on the beginning part of my awakening, my friend and I, we went to our first psychic here in town. And was a nice gentleman. And when I came, so he just started to lay out these cards. And then he says, "Oh my goodness." And I'm like, "What?" So he's like, "I've never seen so many fairies for one person." And then he starts like talking about fairies and their energy, and they're playful and they're joyful and they love to laugh and all of this. And here I am sitting there, controlling, perfectionist, determined, organized, structured, rigid, right? And I was like this for years, right? And I'm sitting there and he describes complete opposite. This is who I would love to be, but this is not who I was. I was so angry. I was like ready just to pick up my shoe and throw at him because like disregarded my whole life that I worked for to become perfectionist and rigid and organized and structured and a good girl and don't point a finger at me because I'm, the clean and the perfect and whatever.
Yes.
I'm in control, basically. And once in a while, I had those moments where that inner child, that fairy energy would spark over me and through me. And it felt so good and felt so at ease and felt so flowy. But I didn't quite allow that to continue or be in touch with it. And when he kind of brought that up, that was the moment when I was so pissed off. But it was also the moment when I kept thinking, what if it's me? What if I'm like that? What if
Yeah.
it's more fun? I remember like I would go and just start telling people who like I could talk to about stuff like that. Like, can you imagine he did that? I just kept doing it. And it like helped me to like talk through it with others.
Mm-hmm.
No, I
Mm-hmm.
did not get any like resolution, but I remember just by talking, I allowed myself to like connect with that possibility and
Yeah.
overcome anger and frustration with his image. But it kept fueling me. And a lot of times I've been coming back to that whole example. And now I can see, like, oh, yeah, this is me. And that's okay to have fun. And that's okay to like not be rigid. And that's okay to be in the flow. But back then, my safety, and that's what it is really like the switch, maybe to answer your question and going back to the nervous system and
Mm.
also to a function of being primal mammals like animals, because safety is going to win. And whatever my body, and the body, that's why like emotions, the body is our subconscious. So the body is a subconscious language and unconscious as well. So that's why if my body has an agreement with life based on how I've developed and it's still there, so I can tell myself 15,000 times, I have a choice, I have a choice, I have a choice, I have a choice, I'm a powerful creator. But when the moment comes and that trigger is my match, right? Going back to the energy, because I did not do the healing work. I did not complete that stress
You're
or
right.
whatever experience. So it comes out of me and I'll be like, I failed again. But because that's the body's agreement that I still have and it's still within me. And more again, I open my heart with compassion to hold space for me and that triggered moment and that scared girl. More I allow to go there and like do the work so that my body is actually recreates a different energy. So I am not that tuning fork or match to that trigger
Right.
for as much.
Mm.
That's
Beautiful.
why body is so powerful and body is always carries the truth. So we,
Yes.
create stories and do stuff and avoid and move and run away. But when you really pause and you're really present, it's like, still there, right?
Yes, you're right.
So,
I think that's such a beautiful, beautiful description. Absolutely. I feel that way too. Is telling ourselves and because I've done it all, right? I've done the affirmations. I'm going to write this out 100 times every day in my journal, and I can believe it, after writing it all the time, like, okay, yeah, yes, yes, yes. And then as soon as yes, something happens in my life that triggers me, I I forget all that. It doesn't. It's not. I haven't embodied that. It hasn't become part of me because there's still, like you said, the nervous system and the emotions are still in this belief. Basically, they're in a different belief system, right? At that time, that it takes. And I love your emphasis on the heart because that really makes sense. Is coming back to this heart opening into the love allows that compassion for ourselves to start bringing in something different into our lives, just really start to reprogram ourself, just like, and through that curiosity, like you did mention, is like, oh, like, yeah, like your stories, like getting curious. I'm like, am I really into this fairy? And is that who I am? Like, what if I brought more of that into my life? Or how can I bring more of that into my life? And starting little by little and then feeling safer and safer as more and more it came in. And then it's just like almost a natural progression into this other, like you said, you're of a different vibration now. So then you start bringing in those higher vibrations into your sphere.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, for sure. I just wanted to say something and I forgot. Oh, yes, back to heart. Yes. Well, and that's the thing. So the neuroscience, and there is like this, I don't know if you are familiar, it's called Heart Math Institute, and they do
Yes.
a
Yeah.
lot of research and they have cool videos. And I love their video where they have like this aura all around you and that magnetism that comes out from the center of your heart. And basically, through their work and neuroscience, now they measured and confirmed that the magnetic field that the heart creates is 5,000 times more than brain.
Hmm.
So that's why where our magnetism lies is in the heart. And again, it makes sense going back to the heart chakra, right?
Yes.
So if I am constantly in protection because my lower chakras are wounded through my childhood experience, right? And I did not give them attention with love and compassion and forgiveness. So I'm in protection. Of course. So if we take a, body posture, like if your audience are following, so go ahead and protect the heart. What do? We close
Yeah.
the shoulders, we sink down. So you just kind of exaggerate that and feel it. How magnetic are you?
Right. You're
Not so
coming
much.
into that smallness of just, yeah,
Yeah. That's
hiding.
why, yeah, I love working with a posture as a channel of awareness and digestion of the emotions because we can create whatever we want in our head because our head is creative. A mind, I have to say, but it's only one part. But we also have that energetic signature, energetic body, right? And when we have those stories like I'm not good enough or whatever, and if you just let them to be in the posture of the body, when I am not good enough, yeah, I'm small, I'm contracted, I'm this way. This is my energetic signature. Yeah, I show up. It's like, yeah, I'm here, I'm doing it. Yeah, great. But inside of me, ugh, protect me. I'm not good enough. And
Yeah.
I'm looking for my goodness or my validation through my accomplishments and achievements and successes and whatever, and another certification and the book and blah, blah. But energetically, I need the love from myself to
Right.
myself. And
Yeah.
nobody can give that to me. And if I just allow myself to feel that in my posture, in my body, then I know what I need. That's it. And then I'm open again because that's what the emotions are. It's just like the waves. But the big ocean is love, and it's the heart, it's that magnetic energy. So I don't exactly know anatomically or physiologically if that's where the love is, but we know through the stories, right? Like we know the heart is the love, right? So we're just going to go with that. So, and that's what the heart does. Going back to that time does not heal, but heart does. It's again, it's coming, bringing the power back to me in doing my healing work
Yeah.
and opening and closing the heart and creating the rhythm. Because what is the nervous system? It's not, not being a sympathetic and only in a parasympathetic. No, the nervous system is the rhythm. The ocean waves is the rhythm.
Hmm.
emotions, the feelings, the sensations, it's a rhythm. And the rhythm is the energy. And how do we stay in the rhythm? We allow. Going back to that feminine energy again, right? We allow. But
Right. Yes.
we don't, because we start going, no, it's not supposed to be. I should be doing this way, blah, 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 and this and that. And then we get stuck in the stories. But the body is actually lives in the present. And the body is actually experiences and feels the stories. But yeah, being an ambitious and whatever, run away and void, like, yeah, I can keep myself busy day and night to avoid, right? To feel it, because nobody teaches me. But when you go there and you actually feel it and let the body experience and complete the cycle, guess what happens? We have room.
Right. Yeah.
We have that space to fill in with something intentional by choice, what we were talking about when we started. But I'm not putting cherry on garbage.
Right.
I cleared up the garbage, and sometimes it takes, layers and days and months and whatever.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
exactly, it's like the body, and that's like the beautiful work of the body and the nervous system, and how it's like created by the divine source, which is amazing. Like every time, like I study the body, I'm like, oh my God, who created this machine? Like it's unbelievable. If people can only like see and feel what the body does and how it does it, like who
Yes. Oh,
cares how fat you are or whatever your problem is, really, just go back to the appreciation of the body, and you'll be fine. But you
yes.
can connect with it, because the body tells you how much to eat and how much not to eat. Especially pleasure is the big thing of it. Like the pleasure is what it's all about. And we have all kind of weird relationship with pleasure. But anyway, so what I was trying to say is that, yeah, so the body, like how I like to say, kind of like that's my quote that came up to me, is that the mind keeps us in the past or in the future, but the body is only in the present. Or while the mind is making sense of life, the body is sensing life.
Mm.
So that's why the body is actually the only structure in a whole thing. That's that physical part of our soulful experience. Just like in yoga, we like to say that I'm the spiritual being who has a human experience.
Right.
That's that evolution of doing the dance of the human and of the soul. So that's why the body is the one that allows us to experience love. Life allows us to experience all the human neediness and wants and desires and creations and all of that. So that's why more we stay in the body, more we connect to the body, more we access the truth and our wisdom through the body, and also our subconscious and unconscious, more we can be that teamwork where the energy flows.
Right. Yes. Yes.
For creations and intentions, and also, impacting others and contributing and co-creating with others, like what we're doing right now. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of my big spill about that.
I love that all. I love that all. And and it takes a while. I'll speak, because I'm still really learning more to trust my body in different ways. I love how you said it's the present, because I think we get to, but I think we have to get to the point where we're in tune with the body in its present moment, giving us the messages or information back, right? Because what I thinking about though is, the disease that some bodies have, that doesn't come really so much from the present. It's more like the past of not being able to express at that time. So it's accumulating in the body as dis-ease. So it's like, I guess the way my mind is going right now is the work that you're offering is helping the body move through, I guess, the past stuff in order to almost kind of create this cleaner slate or more awareness of going forward to be more in the present with the body. Does that make sense? what I'm trying to say? Or how do you feel about like
Yeah.
body and the disease thing?
Body and disease. Well, I am a big fan of Joe Dispenza work and
Mm,
neuroscience nowadays. And from what I understand and what we are coming when we're still like in the beginning of this whole development is that emotions, feelings, sensations in the body, they play a huge role because suppressed emotions from the neuroscience work and Joe Dispenza work, how I understand, is a huge component to contributed disease. Like you said, what happened and the person did not express or
mm,
not true to yourself, again, for the fear of rejection, not good enough, and whatever wounds we carry. So, and what is emotions is just energy in motion. So, and what is energy is everything. So, and essentially, disease is energy. It's just a different energy.
yeah.
So, and we know now again more and more there are so many different modalities, and people create their own healing experiences when they, you know, however they do it, give up the medicine or whatever. Like in my work, I had two clients, and like one of them, the first one, she was on a low medication for depression for 10 years, low medication.
Mm,
She was always just kind of like very level. And I didn't know that she was on the medication. But as we did the work, she was also told in her early age that she was too emotional. But again, what that really meant, she had stuff, parents had stuff, she developed some stuff, and she didn't know how to do any of that. And back then, we did not learn about emotions. We knew like suck it up and
suck it up.
figure it
Yeah.
out,
Suck it
right?
up,
That's
buttercup. Yeah.
not like the new stuff. So, and she was just very low. And also like going back to the colors of the chakras, the rainbow, it was actually very interesting that even when she used to come to the sessions and on Zoom, she would still like wear like black, maybe white sometimes, black, brown, gray. That's it. She had like that low voice, kind of very just level. So as we were doing the work, so she revealed that she was on medication. And then one day she comes and she's like, I decided to make a big decision. I'm like, okay, what's that? So I'm going to talk to my doctor and ask her to get off this medication because I don't think it's good for me.
Hmm.
I was just so proud of her and really not even expecting that because she was just very timid, very shy, and she's a 60-year-old woman,
Yeah.
right? So I'm like, okay, good. Well, talk to your doctor, see what she has to say. So they made a plan, and over 2 months, she helped her get off the medication. Meanwhile, I was working with her with the other emotional levels and the fear and like all the other things that came up. But she did it. She did it. She went through. And what I started to notice, that sense of levelness was now not that. She was actually expressing herself. And the first thing she said, I was like, well, what's the big change? Tell me. She's like, I feel again. I actually
Mm,
feel happy. I feel joy. I don't think I felt that before. That's what she said. And I
yeah.
was like, oh, this is so awesome. But
Yay.
then, as she started to experience all the different emotions, she also started to bring different colors into our Zoom sessions.
I love it.
Started to dress up in colors. And I, let one session go, second session, third session. But I see that I'm like, okay, are you noticing that you were actually like dressed up in color? She's like, oh, yeah, yeah, that's right. Because see, when we allow our emotions to be without judging them, without putting shame, conditioning, whatever,
Yeah.
we actually live life in colors.
Oh, I love that. Yes.
Back to that chakra and the rainbow. So that's why what we are here for is to feel and experience life. And that's the gift. That's the gift itself, right? Like we go into that I'm worthy or I'm not worthy. Like I tell people, That does not exist. Because if you combine them together and overlap, you're neither. You're neither worthy, you're neither unworthy. You just are. You're just here. And that's the gift. Like, receive the gift, you're here. That's it. And then you're here to feel and experience life, right?
Right.
All parts of it. That's why, like, maybe where we can kind of wrap this up with in my main message and how I see it. So, in the main message is we are here to wake up to love that we are, because love is not an emotion, it's energy, and love is everything. So, it's love, that unconditional love. So, we came from love as babies, and we are love because love is everywhere. And what I love to see nowadays as well, that the chakra of heart is green, and that's that unconditional love. So like the love that I talk about through the lower chakras, that was the conditional love, and that was that attachment to parents.
Right.
But the heart, that's that unconditional. And that's what I believe that we're here for, to come back to heart and come back to love that we are. So that's why love is this bigger energy. And love is what holds it all. So that's why love, to me, how I see it, is this big ocean. And all the waves that we go, frustration, anger, disappointment, joy, happiness, whatever, disbelief, all of that is held by love. That's why our ability to feel all these emotions, grief, anger, whatever, frustrations, it's all because we love.
Love. Mm-hmm.
Love holds it all. So, and the beautiful part of it all, and I think that's where the scary part is, and that's where we're afraid, like, we are the waves and we are the ocean. And I believe that, like, that spirit, the soul, right? If you just remove that physical body, we are created on the spirit of possibilities, freedom, love, and really limitlessness.
Yeah.
So, and that's the scary part, because we are so capable that
Yes.
we're afraid. Like that Marianne Williamson poem, Return to
Yeah,
Love.
exactly. Right. Yeah. What is
Yes.
it exactly? Something. Do you know the exact words of that?
Yes, like I memorized that. We're so powerful beyond measure. Like, who am I not to be beautiful, powerful? Well, who are you not to be? So, and I think that's the scary part. And that's where, again, that nervous system and the safety, that's a point of expansion. That's a point of evolution, because, yeah, our expansion is just a circle. It's a dot, but it can grow, it can grow, it can grow. And more we expand with love and compassion, more we get to choose, and also more we connect to the potential and realize the potential. So that's why I believe that love is everything in our evolution and in our growth, because with love, we can stay on a path.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
that's the only way. Because love is forgiving, love is compassionate, love is kind, love is attainable, love is healing, love is everything, because love is energy of the divine creator, divine God, if you will, whoever you believe in, that energy who created us, created this amazing body with all its functions and dysfunctions that we're still trying to figure it out. And love is infinite. So, like, we come and go, our emotions come and go, our stories come and go, our heartbeat comes and goes, our breath comes and goes. And the beautiful part is, what comes and goes is not who we are.
Mm.
And what comes and goes does not belong to us.
Love
So
it.
that's why we are that ocean and we are the waves. And riding the waves is, I believe, what you and I in our coaching world and coaching business learn to do, learn the tools, and help other people to kind of, join the ocean and ride the waves, but be more in that awakened state, be with the open heart, so that, I feel like I would love to retire with people like you more. who are awake, who have hearts open, who smile, who you
Yes.
can just like, you know, when you get old, hang out and know what to
Perfect.
talk about.
So much to talk about. So many
Yeah,
curiosities. Oh my goodness.
yes. And when you're curious in life, you're always alive and you always,
Yes.
feel that energy and curiosity as a gift. So that's why everybody has it. And that's the thing. So that's what going back to love. Love does not come and go. It's always there.
Right. Yeah.
That awareness, that's what comes and goes. But when we start connecting to our body and coming back to the awareness, coming back to the present moment, we can notice. And then knowing some tools and understanding the body, we can reconnect back to the awareness, like maybe going back to the question that you asked about the present, because being present is work, but it's really not work. And maybe that's where coming back to the feminine energy, because to me, being present is like, here, you're present, you'll come back,
Mm,
right?
mm,
So whereas you talk to somebody, look in their eyes, right? You're present.
present.
So, but that's why the present, it's a flow. But when you're not present, or you cannot stop and just create that touch with yourself, that's just a cue to you that most likely you are chasing or running away or avoiding something.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
That the gift is outside of you. And that's again, that's a cue. That's a cue to come back to awareness. And it's like, oh, I'm back to that human self who feels not good enough. Well, what does she need right now?
Right. Checking in. Yes.
Right? She
Being.
needs a
Mhm.
hug. She needs to call a friend. She needs to have a chocolate. She needs to have water. She needs to go in the nature. She needs to go to sleep.
Imagine that
And when you
resting,
tap
right?
into
Yes.
her,
Giving you that
yeah,
self
and
permission.
allow that, then you stop the chase.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, we'll wrap this up. I think the message I get is like, it's ebb. We're continuously in this ebb and flow. A lot of talk about the ocean and that, we're expanding, contracting, ebb, flow, however you want to, we could be present, then we get pulled back out. And it's like, it's just a continuous, and it's just a flow of energy, and it's perfect. It's all perfect. It's the way it's meant to be. And when we allow ourselves just to move with it, that's how
Mhm.
we navigate it and not resist push. We're not letting ourselves be carried. We're just being present, like, oh, here's a wave. I'm going up. Oh, here we go down. It's not a tsunami.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, like you said, so it's just us learning the tools and creating connections to how to be with it, to be in the flow. But that's the thing. Friction is the absence of flow.
Yeah.
Why it's friction, flow, flow, friction, friction, flow. Like you said, that when we don't make a big deal out of it and just be with it. I guess going back to the question that we kind of started with as well in the beginning, it's like, how's it working for me? How's this wave working for me? Even though I don't want it, I don't feel good with it, but it
Right.
must be for me somehow. And if I figure it out, then I will be like, in teamwork, working
Right.
with them and feel the feels. Because
Mm-hmm.
again, feel and find out. That's what I tell people. It's like, well, how is it working for me? Well, let's try to feel it. And when you feel, you find out. But when you avoid, you don't get the lesson. It's gonna
No,
change.
no. And I don't know about your experience, but my experience, if I don't listen the first time or second time, it comes back much harder and with
Oh,
more
yeah.
force until it's finally, then flat down on your face. That's why
Mhm.
people, I think, they get sick or run down because they haven't been listening along the way to rest or take some time. And finally they're like, oh, I can't move. I've been in bed for 5 days. It's like, well, good. You needed this. You just didn't listen. You could have taken a 2-hour nap 5 days ago and avoided all of this,
Yeah,
but
exactly. Yes. Oh, that's for sure. And that's the thing. It's like being the human is one of the most like vulnerable, humiliating, and rewarding experiences. But again, when we do that with the energy of love and compassion, which again, taking care of your inner child, coming back to the heart and let the heart shine the love down, shine the love up, shine the love through, shine the love light in and out and in between.
yes, all directions.
Basically, yeah. So that's why I like that heart math has a video. Like I love it's so visual. So it's
Mm,
like this whole round space of energy and it's different colors. And also like through the chakras and going back to the light. So the white light is the crown chakra. So which is again the white light through through the prism of the white light, we can see all the other lights. That's why I believe when we come here in the state of consciousness of who we are is I am, which is white light.
right.
It's up to us to turn the switch or switches and shine different colors. And more we stay true to ourselves and connected to who we are and embrace that all parts of ourselves, right? Because like if I am feeling shame about some of my parts, then I will not be shining all my colors, right?
Right.
So that's why it's just like that work, like how much love can I give to all my parts so that I hold that space and then I show up in all the colors and this is my vibe, this is my energy, this is like okay, like that's it.
I
Yeah.
just got goosebumps because as you were talking, I was thinking of that Cyndi Lauper song, True Colors. I don't know. Like, I love that song because it is. It's like, your true colors are shining through. Like she sees you, I see you in all your true colors and they're beautiful. So I love that. I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, shine all your colors. Just know that the white color is the cleansing, right? So, white color, multiple colors. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for this time. I appreciate, I know we went a little bit over, but it was just perfect though. It's perfect. I will put in the notes when I do this about where, your websites and stuff. But if you just want to just put that out there verbally, I'd appreciate that as well.
Yeah. So my website is jewelcoaching.com. And that's like a jewelry, jewel stone. JEWEL coaching. And then I'm on Instagram, which is Jules_coaching. Yes. And I'd love to hear from you. And if you want to turn up your switch to shine all your colors, you can reach out.
Yes, yes. All right. Well, thank you, lovely. Appreciate you taking the time to be with us here. And we'll talk soon.
Thank you so much for the opportunity and
Yeah.
continue doing your beautiful work.
Thank you.